Committee. Okay. What we're doing now is we're continuing to recycle the items that typically aren't recyclable through the townships. The first set of items we are recycling are oral care products, which are basically toothbrushes, toothpaste tubes, and floss containers. We're also recycling writing instruments, pens, markers, glue sticks, and plastic caps and lids that are numbers 2, 4, and 5. Since it looks like most of you from Homedale, you should know that Homedale does recycle them, so you can just keep them on the bottles and throw them in with your recycling. But if you're outside of Homedale, we're not sure yet, so you can bring them into church. Bring them to Fellowship Hall. There are blue bins in the kitchen that you can put them in. Everything is labeled, and there are also some papers there that give you more information about exactly what we're taking and not taking. Another thing I want to give you a heads up about is that Clean Ocean Action is having their fall beach sweep this Saturday. It's from 9 to 12:30. You don't have to be there the whole time. Most people just go for an hour and a half, something like that. You have to register. So go to cleanoceanaction.org to register. And a few of us did it in the spring. It was really fun, nice thing to do. And we cleaned up the beaches too while we were having fun. So it's worth trying to do. The last thing I want to talk about is that just to let everyone know, we were beginning to work with a group of UCC churches on issues related to the environment. We've just gotten started, so we really haven't even gotten a good handle on what we're going to be working on, but stay tuned. I'm sure something good will come out of it. So with that being said, I'd like to introduce Janet, who will be, she's passionate about recycling efforts in Monmouth County. So she will be introducing our speaker. You're muted, Janet.
There. Good. Thanks, Regina. Yes, I'm Janet, and I suffer from recycling anxiety. I'm old enough to remember the days where my father would tie up the old newspapers in string, and we put our stuff, our glass and our tin recyclables into separate containers to be put on the curb on specific days. That would bring us peace, and we were sure that those items would indeed be recycled. Now, we try to cram almost everything we throw away into one huge container and pat ourselves on the back for a job well done. That worked well until I learned that China was no longer accepting our recycling trash. And a thought came to mind. What if nothing makes it to recycling heaven? That's when I contacted Jay, Monmouth County's district recycling coordinator, for some much needed recycling therapy. Being from the county level, I figured he could make some sense out of why each of our 53 hamlets in the county had seemingly different rules for recycling the same trash. He could bring us some solace that yes, these items did indeed make it into heaven. Lastly, as I found out, he is well versed in the future of the recyclables markets, which proved to be my anxiety antidote. Jay began his journey with Monmouth County in August of 2017. As the district recycling coordinator for Monmouth County, Jay has provided recycling education at our schools and individual townships. His role expanded to include interactions with municipal recycling coordinators and the general public. He oversees the various municipal recycling programs as well as Monmouth County's Household Hazardous Waste Program and has performed duties as an inspector for the county's health department. It's safe to say that Jay has an enormous knowledge of the past, current, and future status of the recycling industry. We're grateful for his leadership this evening. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Janet. That was a very, very nice introduction. Appreciate it. Again, as she mentioned, I am Jay Sims, the district recycling coordinator for Monmouth County. But I wanted to just take a couple of minutes. Regina, you had mentioned the Clean Ocean Action cleanup this Saturday. I am actually one of the many other duties I do is I help with our Clean Communities program here in Monmouth County, and I'm actually going to be at Cliffwood Beach on Saturday. Is that the same area that you will be at?
Sorry, we haven't registered yet, but it was between Cliffwood Beach and the Bayshore Waterfront Park. Which one is
Okay.
first? Which
So
one is for cleaning?
I will be there with one of our clean community trucks at the Cliffwood
Oh,
Beach area
okay.
on Saturday. So
Okay,
we mentioned about seeing each other all in person. So if some of you are going to journey that way, you'll see me out there Saturday morning.
okay,
Um,
wonderful.
oh.
You're everywhere.
I'm everywhere. Yep, I am. I am. So again, welcome everybody. Thank you for having me tonight. And thank you for allowing me to speak to you all on the complications of recycling. And I use that term loosely because I did speak with you all earlier in the year. And probably since we've last spoken, there's been a lot of changes with recycling. It's a constant changing field. That's all market driven. I'll explain to you that briefly, but I just wanted to just give you a little brief introduction. But we've built some partnerships on the government level with private industry that's really helped expand our recycling abilities here in Monmouth County. And I think it's worthwhile for our residents in the 53 towns to expand our recycling services and what we offer. So just bear with me tonight. I apologize too. I'm a little under the weather. I was saying to the ladies before, cracked a pink eye. I went to the doctor's this morning, so I'm on antibiotics. I'm getting over a head cold, but I will plow through this, and I will make this as painless for you all as possible. Regina, is my screen? Am I able to share? Okay.
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. Okay, here we go. Just bear with me. We're gonna get started. Okay, can everybody see that?
I'm seeing your drive right now.
Okay, I think it's still loading. You still see my drive, or do you see my presentation?
Just the drive.
All right. Says I'm sharing, so. Oh. Go back in 1 second. I'll go back in again. I apologize.
Sometimes you have to actually click on the window in which the presentation's occurring to make it appear.
Okay.
Here you go.
There we go. All right, you can see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, sorry about that. So we talked at last meeting. I explained to everybody basically from A to Z the breakdown of how recycling works, types of collections, etc. So I'll just go over that briefly again. Just some of you may have been on, some of you may have not. New Jersey basically simplifies your recycling collection with two types. We have a single stream collection and we have a dual stream. Majority of the towns here in Monmouth County are currently under a single stream collection. As mentioned, that is basically all of your recyclables being put in one container, mixed together, and then dumped into the truck and taken off to your local recycling facility. As we mentioned before, was listening to Janet's story with her when she was younger with her father with a collection of recyclables. I can remember being with my uncle, getting up early Saturday morning. I lived in Freehold, and we had a facility. It used to be called Brockway Glass. I can remember loading up glass in containers, actually taking the car over there, going over the scale and then dumping off, and we would get paid for by the pound for the amount of glass you had. And then we would go off to a paper facility. Newspapers make a separate trip. We would have bags and bags of paper, go over the scale, same thing, turn your papers in, bundles of papers, and they would pay you back for it. Well, lo and behold, that's how we've been recycling all alone, and we didn't realize we were doing it. But just like with anything else, government sees there's a source of funding with something, so the government sees their eyes on it, and they cease and they grab and they they implement. So in 1987, New Jersey came out with the mandatory recycling legislation, the Mandatory Source Separation of Recycling Act. Basically, what that states is every town, the 565, soon to be 564. There's one town that's going to be merging soon, I believe, North Jersey. Every town must have a mandated recycling act in their books. And under that law, they have a designated person that they must appoint to handle and facilitate all their recycling programs in their individual towns. So every town here that I interact here in Monmouth County, there's 53 towns, as you know. I interact with every municipal recycling coordinator. We have bi-monthly meetings. We do also do webinars and other sorts of trainings throughout the course of the year in order for them to enhance their programs, our individual towns. So again, just to reiterate what I mentioned with single stream recycling is what most towns participate in. It's basically just collecting all of your recyclables and placing them in one container, and they go out to the curb. Most towns participate in a curbside collection, and then they go off to a, we use the acronym, it's called MRF, which is basically a materials recovery facility. And they say recovery is because the material, the recyclables, are sorted out once they get to the facility. Few towns are still out there that participate under the dual stream, which is basically categorizing your recyclable materials, and it goes by paper, cardboard, your glass and your bottles. Paper, everything is separated in separate containers. The original thought of single stream was to engage more residents to participate. Thought was to figure more people would probably, if we simplify how we do it, you would get more participation. Thought was well and good. It actually did bring gains to recycling. However, as you're about to see, over the course of time, people became complacent and sloppy with their delivery on how we recycle. You see here in this photo, plastic bottles, whether they're non-recyclable type plastic bottles or overall recycled plastic bottles. If we didn't know anything about recycling tonight, I could just say to you all, we recycle plastic. Well, what does that mean? And, that's one of the tasks that I have, is going out explaining the difference of the types of plastics, simplify it for residents to understand. When you recycle plastics, there's certain types of plastics you recycle. There's glass in your bottle. So over the course of time, people just see a container and they have plastic. As you can see in this photo, we started to have what's called contamination in our recycling. Take a quick look at this photo here. This is a mixture of your, I would say, I call them your party cups because they're mostly at barbecues. Our younger people use them for different types of liquids, unfortunately, at parties. So they mix, and then they end up in the recycling stream. So thus, it contaminates what we think is supposed to go out at your curbside collection. And in reality, some of it does and some of it doesn't. You have another instance such as this right here. This was a load. This picture was I took from when I was an inspector. I followed a garbage truck here in a Monmouth County town all the way to the recycling facility in Tenton Falls. And when the truck dumped out came all of this. This was just a small morsel of the contamination that was in this load. And this was a curbside pickup. The town's paying for its service. And the truck's picking up, thinking you're picking up pure recyclables. And as you can see here, this is a contaminated load. So the load ended up getting rejected. The unfortunate part about that is you say, well, can you salvage some of that? Well, as you know, cardboard right now is your biggest commodity. It's your most valuable worth recyclable right now. So once cardboard gets wet, just like wet paper, it no longer has any value. It's considered trash at this point. So this whole entire load was actually contaminated, ended up going into the landfill. So very unfortunate. At the time, we had low recycling rates here in Monmouth County. But just to share that with you on a bright side, the state average right now is 58%. Monmouth County, as of 2019, we're at 63% recycling rate. So we're actually above the state average on recyclable rates. And we're one of the higher counties out of the 21 counties here in the state as far as recycling participation. So, you know, I won't sit here and gloat, take the credit for that. That's a credit to the 53 towns, the different municipal recycling coordinators for their hard work with their programs, because it's not easy. I just actually help them facilitate their local programs. But that's a testament to their hard work that they're doing in their individual town. Again, what curbside, you run into different problems of people putting unwanted things inside their recyclables. You look at this photo here, plastic bags, pizza boxes. There's some other debris that, oh, let me go back a second. There's some other debris towards the bottom of this container. And now more towns have more vigilantly made it aware, because now they're paying more money to get rid of their recyclables. There was a time where you could put a lock number in at a municipal budget for your recycling collection every year, and that number would not change because you knew your recycling rate was flat. But over the course of probably the last 5 to 6 years, contamination rates soared. And now towns are finding that it's actually costing more for recycling services than it is for garbage services. So that's a problem. I spent 12 years on the council here in Freehold, and my last few years was, I remember the administrator, we were sitting at the table before a meeting, and he says, you know, he said, Jay, what's going on here? And I said, I can tell you what's going on here. This is just not a Freehold problem. This is a total Monmouth County and a nationwide problem. Towns are now facing that you're going to have to budget more money to handle your recyclables, and it's due to the abundance of contamination that's in your recycling stream. So companies, because the cost is coming back as loads are getting rejected, the haulers are getting fined. So the haulers, in turn, they're putting the cost back onto the towns because they have to pay for that budget shortfall, because the towns sign a contract with the haulers, and the way it works is that's basically, it's like a mortgage with a fixed rate. You're locked in at that price. Well, because of the contamination rates driving up, that fixed rate's no longer the case anymore. You're starting to see now the haulers are tacking on the cost to handle the contamination back onto the towns. Now, once that cost goes back to the towns, we all know who's footing the bill for that. Us as the taxpayers, and your individual municipalities are actually footing the bill to pay for those budget shortfalls. So a lot of the problems that the towns are facing was because of it. If you see here, this photo, same thing. This is abundance amount of contamination that's here. Plastic bags, and I'll cover that in a minute, because we are in a plastic bag ban law now that the governor just signed, and I'll go over that shortly. But if you see in this photo here, same thing. And this is a common practice with a lot of people. All the presentations I can think of since I started doing this, I go back, and once I conclude my presentations, you know, everybody says, wow, I've been doing this wrong all this time. Common practice is putting a plastic bag in your recycling container, dumping the bottles or cans in there. Then when you go to when the bag gets full, instead of dumping them into the container, they tie the bag up. The bag goes in along with the recyclables. And again, I apologize for a bit of the redundancy, but the plastic bags have an adverse effect at your recycling processing facilities. So the best way I can say is this is how I explained it to school children, because they were looking and they couldn't understand what I meant by that. So I recently just did a school presentation, so just humor me for a second. And I said to the kids, I was like, "I show of hands, how many of you have ever got caught stuffing toilet paper down the toilet by your parents?" So there, all the kids start laughing. There's a lot of hands went up. I said, "Okay, so think about all that toilet paper that you stuff down the toilet. That's the same effect that the plastic bags have on the machinery at a recycling process facility. They jam the teeth of the processing units, and then once they get wrapped around, that was the analogy that I had to explain to get the kids to understand what the adverse effect was of the plastic bag. So they got it, and that's once the machine's out of circulation, that basically puts a recycling facility down for several hours because they now have to shut that machine down, depending on how clogged it is, take it apart, and then reset it and then restart again. Well, hours mean a lot at a recycling processing facility. So you could lose an hour, you could lose a couple hours. That's a real major dent in an operation that's whether it's 2 shifts or 3 shifts, depending on the type of facility it is. Again, you see plastic bags and you see pizza boxes. They do not go in your recycling stream. So just to go off topic for a minute, with our plastic bags, Governor Murphy did sign it into law, and effective May of 2022, the plastic bag ban will be in full effect. It's if you notice in certain areas now, it is being phased in, but come May, it will be in full effect. Places will no longer be able to sell the plastic bags. At least let me rephrase that. As the law states, they shouldn't be. Unfortunately, the arduous task with this would be, that doesn't mean that they're going to stop. So yes, there will be a phase out. I think this is going to be a major phase out over the course of time. It's not going to happen overnight. As we know, Rome was not built overnight. But if you look, I always try to look at the tangibles. I try to have a positive perspective on things. It is a step in the right direction. Since I've been involved with environmental and recycling in the last 20 years, I never knew or paid attention in my younger day. New Jersey, along with California, has the strictest environmental laws in the nation. So, we live in a state with a lot of industry. You just have to go right up the turnpike to see that. So, you hope with all the changes that are in effect, that are the things that are being made into law, that we can kind of turn this thing around, help the environment, things with our plastic. But put a total ban on plastics, and I know that's another topic off it tonight, because plastics have become the use of plastics have become such it's a huge topic now. I get asked a lot with my presentations about it. You really don't realize, you look at your everyday life, how reliant we are as human beings on the use of plastic. I would say plastic probably, out of all of us, this probably makes up 85 to 90% of our everyday use. As far as even plastic on your clothing, because the microfibers, you have the microplastics. Simplify that. You think about it, parts of your car, that they're made of plastics. Things we sit in, chairs. If you're in the school industry, you look at the bleachers, the seating now, that they're made of recyclable plastics. So the use of plastic material that we use every day is just, I'd never even just sat there, just you look at it and you say, wow, you really do have a use, you really do use a lot of plastics in our everyday functions. So to totally eliminate plastics, I'm not saying that that's a an excuse, but it would be tough. There's got to be ways to downgrade the use of plastics in our society, and that's a topic for another day. But like I said, you just think for a minute the many uses of plastics that we use every day in our lives. So I know this is redundant, but even with school students, I try to really push the significance of the contamination in our recycling industry. This is just a city block. Here's a can. It's marked recyclable on the bottom. I know the picture doesn't illustrate that, but it is a recyclable can. But people are we're creatures of our own habit. And something that I've learned in this last year, especially with dealing with this pandemic overall, whether I'm going to the grocery store or just seeing people in general, people are short fused with their patience. So rather than walk maybe another 100 feet or another block holding trash, as you can see here, people see an opening. And they don't want to necessarily dump their trash in the next receptacle instead of dumping in the recycling. Fortunately, a lot of the attitude is, well, it's not my problem. I don't have to clean it up. It is your problem because it's all of our problems. Because this magnified issue added on to many others adds out, and then it's countless of others, and then you have hundreds of problems which deals with contamination. Ends up at our recycling facility enough that it can't be processed. Where does it go? Which affects us all on whole, ends up in the landfill. So you think about that for a minute. I'm sure many of those cans weren't completely emptied or plastic bottles. So you look at all that contamination that's mixed in there and the trash that's mixed in there. Unfortunately, you can't salvage that load. So that ends up going into your local landfill. Littering on our beaches, as I mentioned before, Regina mentioned about the Clean Ocean Act beach sweep this weekend. Plastic pollution on our waterways is a huge problem. Every year, there's probably thousands of volunteers that flood the shorelines here in Monmouth County, and they clean up our beaches. And me, I'm actually when it comes to wildlife, ocean life, I love turtles. So this picture always gets to me. I showed this picture before. My kids helped me put these slides together. So I said, Daddy, use this one. This is really good. And they were upset about the turtles. And I'm like, well, unfortunately, this happens far too often. Our litter, particularly our plastics, they get left on our beaches. And when there's tide, the tide comes in, sweeps it back out. It ends up floating in our oceans. Our sea life looks at it as they think it's food. And when they go to grasp onto it, it's realized it's too little, too late. It's plastics. That's also, if you can tell, the pink coloring is that's fishing netting. So many of the items that get littered on our beachways, and they end up getting tied into our sea life, which proves most time it's fatal for them. This next chart I actually added since our last time we met, and I thought it was important because I'm going to tie this into my next section that I'd like to discuss with you all is the expansion of the amount of recyclable materials. Now, I heard you talking before about the types of plastics. So I figured, let me put a chart on here, because if I'm standing in front of people and I'm saying 1s, 2s, 5s, 4s, somebody's sitting in a presentation, because that could be me on the other side. I'm like, what the heck is this person talking about? 1, 2, 5s, 4s. I just know and that's not knowing anything. And people have that notion. I just know I put something plastic, I put it in the recycling container. Well, this helps kind of simplifies it a little bit. So your 1s, which is peat, I like that they're broken down, which is polyethylene. You can see where under there, those are mostly your soda drink bottles, the mineral water bottles, the fruit juice containers, the cooking oil containers. Then you have number 2s, which are the high density polyethylenes. Those are like your milk jugs, the cleaning agents. So like the Windex cleaners, maybe the Clorox bleach, the spray cleaner, laundry detergent bottles, the shampoo bottles, soap bottles that may come in, conditioners, things of that nature. So those are important to know. Then we have, which is another recyclable material now that's for some towns accept them, others don't, are number 4s. So we have crush bottles, shopping bags, but the shopping paper bags. All right, so there's a big difference when I say shopping bags, shopping paper bags. And then they're mostly the resistant sacks that like most of the wrapping. And most importantly is number 5s. So you see it here, you have like your consumer, your furniture, luggage, toys, yogurt containers, diaper wipe container, the Chinese food container. I believe I spoke earlier in the year, we weren't even having this discussion that number 5s were an accepted recyclable material due to the market stability here in Monmouth County. Well, a lot, again, has changed since I spoke with you last. And with the addition of the processing facility at Mazza, number 5 plastics, including 4s now, are accepted recyclable materials along with 1s and 2s. So I had to do some work on my end, which is fine. And it's good work. I like to stay busy. So I'm happy to report to you all tonight. As a result, majority of the 53 towns are now participating in a countywide collection, which are involving the 1s, 2s, 4s, and 5s. Like I said, months ago, I couldn't say the same thing to you all because that wasn't the case. So a lot of hard work, a lot of persistency, a lot of help from many different partners involving this have made this happen. It's a credit to a lot of the partnerships that have been built with recycling. Again, it's market driven. The Mazza Corporation has been a huge help with their state-of-the-art facility that they now have, and they're able to accept these different types of plastics now to expand upon the amount of plastics that we're able to keep out of the waste stream and now process it, recycling facility. And in addition to that, Monmouth County has a recycling guide, which actually I just gave the green light on today because there were some updates that needed to be done. So we're hoping to get some more back out on circulation and also include a PDF link on the county's website. So that should be updated by Friday. So that you all able to just click that. And we're hoping to get out our recycling guides for circulations to different places, whether they be public libraries or groups such as yourself. I can deliver them. I'd like to come out and visit. So we can get those out to you. But I just wanted to just go over, if you can see the slides, I won't read them verbatim, but if I shoot out number 1, at least you'll have an idea if you just want to take a couple quick minutes as I'm talking, just to look at what types of items that are, as an example, that they are. And this is similar to the language that we currently now have in our recycling guide. I wanted to try to make it as simple as possible for residents so that they're not confused when they see or hear number 2s, 1s, or 5s. They'll at least know what they are, what goes under them, what's considered 5 plastics, to try to make it as easy as possible. Metal cans. Okay, that's the same thing. So like your tuna fish cans, Campbell soup, Progressive soup. And I say Progressive because I just had a can of Progressive soup. It was a good soup night. And I actually had soup before I came on. But those types of things, paper and cardboard. As you know, what type of the year it is, I did it for 12 years, it's elections. So I'm sure many of you are getting these fine, handy dandy, glossy papers of pictures of candidates that are running for office that want your support, so they come in the mail. So those are types of things that can all go in your recycling bin. Magazines, soft covered books, like readers, I get those a lot. Newspapers with the inserts, cereal boxes, the chipboards. Okay, because the chipboards that's the actual material. People think cereal boxes are cardboard. It's actually chipboard. So the white and colored paper, and then the cardboard shipping boxes. Okay, A lot of you, if you order from Amazon, boxes come, so you can put those, flatten them out, put them right in your recycling container, or go to your local town drop-off center and utilize that as well. Take advantage of that. Just as an aside, as I'm here speaking to you, stay on your towns. When you go to your local recycling center, if you have time, take a peek around the recycling, ask questions. I always, go by the notion, if you don't ask enough questions, you won't know. So they're supposed to be knowledgeable just as much as I am here giving you the information. So at a local level, they're supposed to have someone there knowledgeable at the recycling center to help with those if you have questions specific with your recycling. So again, every town has a recycling coordinator. Know who they are. Pay them a visit if you can, or call them up, ask questions, shoot an email. But it's important. I think you should know who your local recycling coordinator is, because you can build partnerships at the local level too, which are helpful. And like I said, that person of knowledge is supposed to be a direction that you could go into as well. So items not to recycle. I just wanted to go over this real quickly, particularly with the batteries. The regular household everyday batteries. There was a time where we did recycle your battery. And that was due to the content of the mercury that it's actually in the batteries now. EPA levels are now significantly low, where the dose of mercury inside the batteries do not require for you to recycle them anymore. There's a big push right now, as you know, it's called the Avoid the Spark campaign through Recycle Coach with your batteries. Lithium-ion batteries are being found to be quite dangerous. They're causing many fires. I don't know if many of you read up on that, but a lot of our recycling center facilities have had major fires due to the lithium-ion batteries. So there's a push in the industry with that right now. Recycle Coach is, I'm not sure if some of you have the app on your phone, but a Recycle Coach is an app that's out. It's basically an information app you can tie into with your towns. Put all your recyclable, any town-wide information such as trash pickup, any bulk pickups, things of that nature. But Recycle Coach has partnered up with Andrew, and I'm actually a board member of Andrew. Andrew is the Association of New Jersey Recyclers. So I'm actually a board member of Andrew, and they've partnered up and went on this huge campaign blitz right now called the Avoid the Spark campaign to get the word out, spread the dangers of the lithium-ion batteries and how to properly dispose of them. So you want to do some reading, just look that information up. It's available on the net. You can go to the Andrew website. Just you can Google ANJR. So A is in Apple, N is in Nancy, J is in John, R is in Robert. Andrew, again, it's the Association of New Jersey Recyclers, and you can find that information regarding the lithium-ion batteries. And then the other items up top, okay, just basic household items that do not go in your recycling stream. Propane tanks. We have a household hazardous waste facility here in the county. You are able to bring those there, empty or full, it doesn't matter. The facility will take them. It's a free service that's available to county residents, so you can bring those there. Medical waste is a big one. I know it's always a question I get answered quite a bit. Medical waste, believe it or not, if properly secured in a container and taped off, yes, it can go in the trash. I know that's frowned upon from some people. Or if you have means, if you can, you would have to pay a hefty price to get rid of it. You can link up with the service. There's a company called Paracycle. They'll come to your home. If you have someone in your home that you're, or home health aide is coming to your home to treat a family member, and there's an overabundance of medical waste that is being produced, and it's more recommended that you have some type of a medical waste company pick those up. But your occasional sharp containers, you can wrap those and seal them up. They can go in the trash. There's this weighted value of how much medical waste is allowed in our general waste stream. Just some added common poster tips I added on. This is the DEP has one. They're real big on the plastics as well. We've partnered with them locally here, and the counties have all the county coordinators. We rely on the DEP for guidance throughout different things regarding recyclable programs in the state. So this is one of their posters that they put out regarding the use of plastics not to recycle. Some more information, again, plastic straws. If you do venture out to dine, you notice a number of places have replaced the plastic straws with the paper straws, which in my opinion, my wife and I, when we go out, we have reusable metal straws now that we take out, because 2 sips out of that paper straw and you're not getting anything else out of it. And we all know what happens with wet paper. So it's not even worth it. You know what? I give the restaurants credit. They're trying to save on that. Industry. They buy those in bulk, but I just say don't even bother. I bring my metal straw with us when we go out. A lot easier. The plastic cups, again, they go in the trash. The Styrofoam food containers. A lot of the schools now are phasing away from these. When I first started doing this several years back, I would, do recycling audits in the school, and you'd be surprised the amount of these I would see stacked up, and then they were saving them and washing them out. I'm like, what are you doing? These can't be salvageable. They're once, they get the food contaminants in, that's in the styrofoam. So these are definitely a no-no. This is an older photo. One of the many things they do have over at the Mazza facility with their processing units now, they have manual sorters, but they're more or less, they're there for QC, quality control. And they have what's called optical sorters. So the machines actually sort out the recyclables. It's really neat. Janet, I can pass on the contact person over there for the group to actually go do a tour. I would highly recommend setting something up. I think it would be great for everybody to go in. They're very open to tours. They like giving tours of the facility. It's great.
Our church has already had a presentation from them.
Great. Okay.
I fear that you're going to witness the backlash of that by all the questions you might have from the Q&A session post this. But yes, what an amazing facility. Thank you.
All right, no problem. So so getting back to that, they've replaced those with optical sorters, which is a huge help now with picking out the different types of recyclable materials. So just to go back, we'll talk real quick before we open it up for question and answer. The contamination, I think we can all agree that's our high point with our recyclables. Has it gotten better? Probably since I've started this position, I believe it has. Can it get better? Absolutely. I think anything can get better. You just got to keep working at it. So the notes I usually tell people are to continue to make sure your recyclables are free of food and liquids before they're replaced in the recycling container. As you know, paper and cardboard, once it gets wet, it loses its quality. So it becomes doesn't become something of value. So it's trash at that point. Photo didn't, I don't know where the photo went. As you mentioned, Janet mentioned before, all of our recyclables at one point used to go to China. China was our only and biggest exporter of recyclable material. Because of our contamination rates slowly mounting here in the US, as of 2019, completely China sealed us off and said, that's it, we're done. So let me be clear with that, because people ask, well, does that have anything to do with our trade war? It has nothing to do. That's two separate issues. That is a total separate issue with that. So I always try to look, if something happens, you try to look at the good of that. So the one aspect as the good of that is it allows us to try to invest here stateside. And what I mean by investing here, we can build our own facilities here, process our own recyclables to keep them here, stateside so that we can reuse this material to benefit us here stateside as compared to sending them off overseas. And I know recycling is a global market, and that's how it's funded, that's how it operates. But you can make just as much as by processing and fulfilling those needs right here in the country. So that's something just to keep in mind with that. In markets are big. In markets, as you know, the recycling market, I'm sure a lot of you have done a lot of research on this. The recycling market runs. It's a symbol. It's almost the analogy I use is the stock market. The recyclables are your stocks. It's all market driven. All right, the market's good. The value of your recyclables are good. Right now, cardboard is your biggest commodity right now. That's where you're getting your biggest value, your biggest bang for your buck right now. Companies are they see high gains with that. Your lowest market value item right now is glass. There's no value with glass right now, and that's a problem. But it's a problem that hopefully over the course of time, the value of glass will get driven up again. The market value will dictate. That's something that you keep an eye on. So we've talked about a lot tonight. I'm looking forward to some of your questions, but a couple of quick things. A lot of ways the towns, and I emphasize this, can eliminate the current problems with recycling are education. You can't educate enough. You never can learn enough. There's never a stop button, I believe, with learning, no matter what your age is or what your learning curve is. So as you see, there's constantly changes with recycling. Since I last spoke to you there was changes. And you see those changes are in effect now. And I'm quite sure, again, if I came to you in another few months from now, there would be another round of changes. And it's all market driven. It's all dictated by what's going on globally, nationally, et cetera. So I mentioned we have our Clean Communities program here in Monmouth County, which works in conjunction with recycling as well. It's a worthwhile program. There's volunteers every year. They go out, they do countless of hours of cleanups, thousands and thousands of miles of cleanups here in Monmouth County. The program has seen many gains over the years. The three principles are cleanup, enforcement, and education, which are some of the core principles as well of recycling. And the two programs pretty much tie into each other. They work side by side. You see here with the photos, I mentioned before, volunteers come in each year and they clean the miles of beaches that we have here in Monmouth County, whether it's just recyclables or just litter in general, to try to preserve our oceans and waterways with our wildlife. And they really do a good job. It's a lot of hours to put in. This happened to be a house out in Manalapan, tire cleanup. Found the mosquito commission was spraying for mosquitoes. As a result of that cleanup, just to give you an idea, you guys have seen a 40-yard roll-off container before. They're pretty big. We ended up filling 2 of those full of tires that were picked up off this one site, thanks to mosquito. So there's a lot of partnerships that are out there. Mosquito Commission is another one. The Monmouth County Health Department on the enforcement side, and we all work together. The programs tie into each other to get the word out and spread the word with our residents. This is a cleanup in Lake Como from 2 years ago with students. Always good to see our young people out there participating, doing something good for the environment and for themselves and for the community. Just basically getting back to basics, is a general thing that I strive to every speaking group that I do, to get things to where they need to be. Sometimes we get far ahead of ourselves. So just basically applying those principles that we did years ago now to our modern recycling programs. That's the only way we're going to get back to making it more pure and less contaminant. Just again, plastic bags, doing away with them, keeping our bottles and cans free of debris or liquids, pouring them out, rinsing them out, giving them a quick rinse. Encouraging our students in schools, building gardens and composting for their gardens, building healthy lifestyles. That's one of the other programs that we oversee. We donate composters to the school districts for their composting program. It's a way of showing that, they're showing initiative and drive for the students. So we donate composters based upon their programs. There's a small criteria we have. It's nothing crazy that we make the schools do, but once the school requests for one, you see that their program's thriving. It's a really good morale booster for the students because now they compost and then they use that in their school gardens. And that's it. Well, since I'm looking forward to some of the questions here tonight, so I will unclick my screen and go from there.
Okay, guys, if anybody has a question, you want to, you can go over to the reactions button. You can raise your hand or you can call out or you can type your question in the chat. Okay, let's see, Janice, you can unmute yourself.
I think I have
There
I?
you
Okay. I guess I have two questions, but I'll let everybody else have a chance. I'll only do one. The plastics, there was one category or several categories that were not recyclable. Is the government putting any kind of pressure on businesses to not use the ones that are not recyclable? Is there anything happening at that level? I mean, why are we continuing doing this if we can't recycle it?
So when you say the government, I can answer as far as here in New Jersey. I do know the DEP has put pressure on businesses to minimize the use of plastics in their production.
Well,
However, I'm sorry, go ahead.
what I was saying, it's just been recently that the drink manufacturers announced that all of their bottles are going to be recyclable. And I was wondering, they moved ahead and did something. What is the pressure being put on to get the other companies to stop using those plastics that are not recyclable? I mean, I hear a lot about what's going on in Seattle, in Washington State. They seem to be the state that's doing the best job on it. I believe I'm right in saying that. And I just, it's kind of troubling to me that we're moving ahead here, but then to still see their categories that are still being produced. So that was my one question. I have another one, but I'll let other people give a question.
Okay, Regina, you had a question?
Actually, I had a few, but now I guess I'll have to only ask one at a time. I'm a little confused as to, maybe this is just a Homedale thing, but why is it that we can put everything in one container curbside, but when we go to DPW to drop things off, we have to separate them? And along those lines, you're saying that cardboard can't be wet, but the container we put them in at DPW is all open, so the whole thing gets wet. Makes no sense.
So to answer that, your curbside collection is different from your drop-off site. Your curbside collection is strictly what you generate at your home. What's done at your recycling center is a different type of collection. So when your towns settle your contracts with the haulers to pick up the recycled materials, they decide if you're going to do single stream or dual stream. In your case, Homedale decided they do single stream collection they do participate in dual stream at the recycling center to categorize the recycling materials. answer your second part of that, the containers, that is a question that I will encourage you to force the town on, because it should be an enclosed container with a lid to protect and preserve that. Some of the towns have gone to that. And that's not a question that's not new to me. I've gotten asked that before, and I've encouraged people to go to their towns because they make standardized containers where you can put a door on it. Not making excuses for the towns. A lot of the towns these days are just short on manpower. So rather than have an attendant at the recycling facility, a lot of the towns, the drop-off sites are just wide open, and people just go and dump their items wherever. There's no order, or there's no systematic order to what needs to be done there. But I would encourage you, recycling coordinator for Homedale, his name is Victor Stevens. I know him very well. We do a lot of projects together, but I'm quite sure if you brought that to his attention, that they would take care of that problem, Homedale.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Jay, for giving us an update. This is all part of one question, basically.
Mhm.
How has the tonnage rate changed since communities have gone to single stream? And does the county still pay for recycling tonnage? Okay, and how has Homedale's tonnage increased over this period of time?
Good question. So just to be clear, so the county doesn't pay for the recycling tonnage. The tonnages pay for themselves. And the way that works is the tonnages, when your town submits your yearly tonnage report, the amount of money that comes back in the form of a grant to the town is based upon the amount of tonnage that's reported by the town. So that's from all your businesses, road jobs that were done in the town. When I say road jobs, concrete, asphalt, leaves, brush, they're all classified as recyclable materials, called Class B recyclable materials. So I don't want you all to get confused. The types of recyclables we talked about in my presentation tonight are classified as Class A recyclable. But when you do your tonnage report for your towns, you take apart all those and you put them into one report. So your Class A's, your Class B's, and then even your Class C's. I think it's the park over, what's that, Cross Road over there, or is
Cross Farm.
Cross Farm. Okay, so you have a compost site over there. All the leaves are collected over there and then they're composted. That classifies as Class C. That's all included in the town's reporting system at the end of the year for the ton. When the town files that with the state calculates. They have a measuring method. It's all auto tabulated, and based upon the percentage of reporting that the town has put in, the state has a measuring stick they base upon that, and they award back at an award of tonnage to the town. So as far as where Homedale sits with the other towns in the county, Homedale is actually in the top 10 of towns and as far as recyclables, recycling and tonnages here in Monmouth County. So you guys are actually pretty good, and that's something from my notes that I brought from last time, because someone had asked that question and I didn't have that, wasn't able to answer that last time we had a presentation. So I'm actually glad you mentioned that. So
that's great news to hear. I just have one quick question, which is more
Sure.
forward looking. I'm fortunate that I am in a private home and I have my own compost sites. What is the county doing other than the activities with the schools regarding organics and promoting people to, or helping people that don't have access to a local compost site to compost?
So what we have is another good question. We partnered, I did 2 workshops in the spring. Unfortunately, we weren't able to link schedules for the fall, but I've partnered with the Monmouth County Park System up at Deep Cuts Park. Kate Lepis, who's the horticulturist at the park, and we've done some composting programs. So what we do, I actually go around, I can actually do composting workshops myself, which I would be more than willing to come back out to do for the group. Something else that I'd be willing to do. Possibly it might be a nice little winter get together if we can do so. It goes over basically how to compost from A to Z. One of the tangibles from that is the county has the composters that we allow residents to purchase for $35. I know it sounds like a little sales pitch, but I just wanted to answer your question completely. And the encouragement with that is we give tips throughout the presentation on how to compost, because a lot of people don't. It's one of the more just like our paper shredding events, our composting has become one of our more popular programs that we do for the residents.
Oh, that'd be great. Jay, just a quick question. Who would we, I'm also a member of another organization that does Earth Day, and who would we contact to see if Monmouth County would want to participate in any capacity on our Earth Day program?
That would be me.
Excellent.
God, you beat me to it.
I'm sorry. I stole your thunder. Thank you very much, Jay.
You're welcome.
Okay, Elizabeth, go ahead.
Elizabeth Wilson or Elizabeth Mueller?
Oh, Elizabeth Wilson, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, a few comments here.
Sure.
The Homedale Green Team had a presentation from Brianna, I forget her last name now.
Mosello.
Pardon?
Mosello.
That's right, Brianna Mosello. And she told us that you can recycle pizza boxes just so they don't have big gobs of food on them, but a little oil does not make a problem with contamination for them. So you can recycle pizza boxes.
So if I could, I'll counter that, because I would encourage that that's not the case, because you look at 53 towns and 650,000 residents that live here in Monmouth County. So think about that. If you put all those pizza boxes, if everybody had pizza boxes, after a while, the amount of contamination out of that amount of pizza boxes would be astronomical. I understand what she's saying, but from a practicality, I encourage residents more to stay away from it, because a little grease to somebody might be a bigger amount of grease on the pizza box from someone else.
All right, well, this was straight from the mouth of the spokesperson for MASA.
Right.
Okay.
No, I understand.
Okay, a couple more things.
Can I interject also on that point?
Excuse me?
She said that they had done a study and it wasn't enough grease to be a problem. But is this, you still say no?
I'm going to respectfully disagree, but
Okay.
that's a topic for another day, but
Okay.
that's fine. Mhm.
Okay, maybe you should ask. Anyway, we're also allowed to recycle aluminum cans, tin cans, bimetal cans, aluminum pie pans, and clean aluminum foil
Yes, correct.
with MASA. Okay, another couple of things, not about that kind of recycling.
Mhm.
If people want to compost their kitchen scraps,
Mhm.
Monmouth County, as you probably know, sells Earth Machine composters at the Middletown Recycling Center. Costs only $35.
Yep.
You go to the Middletown Recycling Center on
Haynes Lane.
Haynes
I
Lane.
actually oversee that program as well.
Oh, good. Well, people should know that they should if they want to buy one, they should take a check, because it has to be made out to a specific place, not just anybody.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, the third thing is, you probably also know about this as well, and that is that the county runs a place also at the Middletown Recycling Center where you can recycle styrofoam.
Correct.
And you can either take it, if you have a big load of it, you can take it to the Haynes Lane Recycling Center in Middletown. If you have a smaller amount, you can deposit it in their special boxes at the back of the parking lot of the Middletown train station.
Correct.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to Bill and then Regina.
Unmute.
Bill, just unmute yourself.
There we go. I'm sorry. Regina mentioned that we do have the containers over at our recycling center in Homedale for cardboard, paper, and aluminum cans. But we also have a enclosed container for plastic bags, which is very positive because as you pointed out earlier, Jay, the plastic bags, when they're dumped into our recycling containers for curbside, screw up the equipment at the
Yes.
recycling centers. So on the one side, Homedale is really doing a great job for plastic bags of all sorts. But as Regina said, the cardboard container is wide open. And when we have rain, it's just all this
That's-
effort
yeah.
to recycle it. And I do a lot of that for the church and for my personal use.
Mhm.
We need to, Regina, you need to talk to that guy at the township. Thank you.
Since half the green team from Homedale is here, I was hoping they would do that. They have a little more clout than I do. But I had one quick question is, you said paperback books are accepted. So does that also mean phone books?
Yes, so actually, I don't know what you guys, if they do it in Homedale, but living here in Freehold, usually what happens, they do it twice a year. Our Public Works will just park a truck at our town hall, and they will allow residents to just throw old phone books out, and they take them in, and they get recycled. So we didn't do it last year, and I'm just wondering if COVID had played a role in that. But something again, you just may want to pitch with Mr. Stevens there in Homedale to see if that's something Homedale would like a drop-off site. They would collect the old phone books and recycle.
Well, most of us probably don't even get phone books anymore, but I'm just wondering if people ask.
I'm not even sure if our younger people know what phone books are. I mean,
Exactly. Right. But I have another question.
sure.
Saying that most towns now are doing numbers 1, 2, 4, and 5.
Mhm.
Correct? I still don't know what number 4 is, but how do we find out? The environment group in the church is trying to find out specifically town by town what people are doing so that we can tell the congregants in those towns. So what is the easiest way that you can think of for us to do this? We've been trying to reach the green teams in the town, environmental commissions, and having limited.
I mean, you can work with me. Janet knows how to get a hold of me, and I can reach out to the coordinators in the towns because I have an email distribution list, and I can work with you all on that to obtain that data. Find out.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's something I'll work with you guys on.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Mhm.
I'll email you in the morning.
No problem. No problem.
Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any other questions? Janice, just unmute yourself again, Janice. There you go.
Okay. So my second question was
Sure.
about enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any plan from the township or whoever it would be to determine at what point they're going to do some enforcement? I saw a lot of things that you showed where things were, they couldn't be used because they had thrown in things that shouldn't be there and things like that. And there was seemed to be a lot of that. So is there any plan that they're going to try to do something about that to make people do things more correctly? To make
So
sure.
some of those photos I saved from when I was an inspector with the health department. The county health department has an enforcement team. So that's what I did prior to where I'm at now. I was an enforcement inspector. Just go around the county to different locations and do recycling and solid waste. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said, well, I'm sorry, I'm going to let you finish. Maybe you'll answer.
Oh, so they have an enforcement team that actually goes out. They split the county up in 4s, and they go to just about every town, and they look for recycling violations, even recycling yards for the different towns. They have been known in the past to issue violation notices to towns for improper use of their recycling containers. So they're out there. As you know, there's a lot of space here in Monmouth County. There's an office. They only have an office of 5 inspectors. And then some of the towns that are fortunate enough to have larger staffs have people that go out and do enforcement as well around the town. So does that somewhat answer your question regarding, what making sure, the containers are people are putting what they need to put in there?
I guess in a way,
Mhm.
the town is being penalized, the town, right?
Well, yeah, so if the town is in violation of what's supposed to be in a container, if it's a recyclable and it's not, yes, then the town does get penalized for that.
And that
If it's a business, then the business gets penalized. If it's let's say if it's a hauler and they're supposed to be picking up recyclables and they're mixing trash in there, then they're getting fined. I mean, I've in my past experiences, I've issued fines to all the different entities that I just mentioned to you. I've written violation notices up for them.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Okay, Mary Rose and Bill Little.
Okay, thank you for this presentation. It was very informative. Because our town participated in the Trex Community Challenge, we tried to get a plastic bench, a Trex bench for the town. I'm much more aware of the ability to recycle plastic film than I was prior to that. I wonder if, first of all, I'm not clear on whether or not individuals can participate in the program without being part of a community challenge. In other words, can an individual homeowner collect plastic film, drop it off at the Acme or wherever participating stores, Kohl's, whatever. And if that's the case, could you do anything to promote that? There was a disconnect when we started to do this. The people in the stores didn't seem to understand that Trex would actually accept a lot more than just plastic bags. They accept bubble wrap. If you go to recycle.trex.com, there's a list of the items that they accept. And it's really, I recycled 4 pounds recently of plastic film. That's a lot of plastic film, and it was a couple of months in our household. So if everybody did that, it would keep it out of the recycling curbside pickup, first of all, and might make a bit of a difference.
100%. I don't disagree with anything you just said. The only thing I will add to that is regards to the industry. And I just mentioned this recently in a meeting I was in with, that was a statewide meeting with the other county coordinators. Businesses need to make themselves more visible in the communities to sell these type of programs, because not everybody has the means like you have to do the research, find that these programs are available out there. In our more or less desirable communities where people don't have the access to computers or information like that. And that's something I'm on a subcommittee right now. I'm working on. One of the programs we're working on is making these types of programs more accessible, because if people know more about these things, they'll be more prone to do them. It's how you sell them in your approach. Because if, as you know, you look at a lot of these companies and they spend millions and millions of dollars on marketing year by year. And this is an area where I'm a firm believer, like there shouldn't be a limit, a cap limit on money with recycling. You should be throwing money there to encourage more people to do it, because the more people do it, the more better off we'll all be. So I hear you. I definitely know that that's something I've pushed for. Trex is a program I know. The recycling coordinator over in Eatontown was real successful in getting that program for Eatontown to do that. But if you can encourage individuals to do it, I mean, I know my kids now, they're looking now. I see them and I'll watch them now. And if they don't know, they'll say, "Daddy, is this go in?" And then I was like, "What does the bottom say?" And they said, "They look." So they know. And my point being is, it's because we're teaching it here. It's a culture here in our house, and as well as it seems like it is in your home as well. But I think if the companies, the corporations out there, like I said, they plant themselves in the communities, that they could bolster their programs, that we could really take off with this. There's so much more that we could do. I mean, we're just peeling a layer of the onion, just having this discussion tonight. There's definitely a lot more out there that can be done with this. Sure.
What I think is so exciting about the Trex part is that it's a known market. I mean, they
Yes.
want the plastic. You don't have to
Yes.
worry you're putting in the recycling bin is going to end up in the trash. It will go to
Right.
Trex and they will use it. So that's more meaningful sometimes.
Absolutely. Well, it's definitely more encourageable than knowing that, okay, just throw it out. But I mean, here's the need for it. And again, that's with recycling. There's a market for it. You can make it happen.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Janet, you'll have the final question. Just go ahead and unmute yourself.
I muted, I did it. I don't think I observed the final question because I had the first question, but anyways, I just want to explain to Jay that he suffered from our preservation from the MAZA Foundation because I feel like they have made so much headway and it almost felt like a panacea that cramming things into my one, if you remember from my presentation, in my one container that I thought was a sin, all of a sudden became a saint, that they were getting recycled. And from what we've heard from you is that it's not so simple. And I encourage you at this point to correct me, like pizza boxes, let's just take that on. Regina, was it true that they said, doesn't matter, if they're wet, we'll take them?
I think so about the wet cardboard, but I do want to verify that.
Oh, okay. Okay, I wasn't there. But anyway, so Jay, I just want you to know that you're up against what Maz is saying, and it's all, smooth marketing and it's all good news. We all want to make things happen.
Sure. Absolutely.
So, yeah, so we just went through that presentation from them and so I guess we're all more confused than we were before at this point. But thank you so much for your definitions.
Janet, I don't think it's marketing on the part of Mazda, because why would they advertise to take in more than they're actually using?
That's a good question. Let me
think-
throw that out there. Does
I
anybody
think-
have a response?
No, I think the issue is that not every town accepts the same things is what.
Well, I guess
Mazda was
I'm a
up
business
against.
person, and I think that there is a reason. There is a reason, and I think that every township has the option to take Mazda as their recyclable or not. And so that is a business reason. And it almost doesn't matter. The point is, where does it go? And how do we comply with where it needs to go? And I think Jay laid it out as best as possible. It's not simple. It's less simple than it was the last time we spoke, unfortunately, right? We thought that after we watched the Mazda thing, that no matter what we crammed back in there, we were good. But now I'm back at the other thing. I feel like I have anxiety again. Thanks so much, Jay.
Well, you also have to look at this, and this again, don't take what I'm saying as a knock at Mazda.
Of course.
They're a corporation, they're a business. So the difference with what they're telling you and what I'm telling you, I'm providing it from more of an educational perspective, more of an intimate level. They're at a corporate level from, and it is a marketing, because recycling is marketed driven. So you have to keep in mind, if you have an end to get rid of something and make money off of it, then they're going to accept it. I will say that not only me, my other 20 counterparts for the 21 counties, we all represent New Jersey. It's a unified message with pizza boxes throughout the state. So
I love
that's-
it.
So that is a unified message. Again, no, and that's maybe Mazda has a way of collecting those and making them productive, and which for them would be profitable. So that's probably why you guys were told that. I don't want to hit or make you confused.
No, I think
like
it's
a-
really super cool, but I think that everyone needs to figure out what their town is doing. Our town is not using, I'm from Lincroft, so we're not using Mazda, we're using, I forgot, Sunsera or something like that.
Solterra, and
Solterra.
your town
So-
does, yes, it does go to Mazda.
But but apparently we can't do pizza boxes. It's so complicated.
So that is that's something that, you know, the town has to link up with the hauler to figure out what needs to be done. As far as, you know, accepting more at the curbside. So I don't know where you guys, and that's a question you need to answer with Mr. Stevens. I don't know where they are with the contract with,
No,
No,
we worked it out.
you
I
know,
can
so,
speak for my town, and I
Right,
had
right.
this conversation, and because I was so excited about Mazda, and I asked them about it, and they said, well, Mazda is too expensive. So we use Solterra, and so as a result, we can't do everything that Mazda does. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
right. No,
Well,
so
we
that,
have
I mean,
to work it out.
it's definitely, you know, definitely worth looking into for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was loud too. Do you really want to turn it
Homedale
up?
has worked it out thanks to the hard work of some of the people here on this that are on the green team.
Right, no,
The issue is the connection between what the town is saying, what the haulers are saying.
right. Well, and
So we
that's a whole nother topic too, is just getting together with the haulers, because every towns are, you know, fortunately, that's something that's not in sync, is the contract cycles.
That's the problem.
So until you can sync that together, synchronize that, then that you would even be even more of the next step ahead where we need to be. You know, some towns do 5-year contracts. Just to give you a quick example of that. Some towns do 5-year contracts, some
So
towns
how
do
do I
2,
raise my hand?
some towns do 3. So, you know, a hauler's gonna tell you, I can't take that. They can take anything. Because it comes down to this, as you know, that's ultimately, and again, and I'll tell you all with regard to recycling, this controls everything,
Absolutely.
totally. Just like, so I could come out tomorrow and I could tell you, you know what? I can recycle chicken wings. And if I have a market, but if I have a market for it and I can sell that, and that's that, there you go. Next thing you know, you're putting it out there. You're marketing that and you're putting it out there. Okay, we can recycle chicken wings now. So then everybody starts doing it. It's just like there's a constant recall. Like I said, I could probably come back to you all in like three months from now, and I guarantee you there'll be something different. To the point where Dan will be like, "Jay, you're killing me." But seriously, that's how quickly the market, it's just the market stability can change. And it's a good thing, I guess, because it keeps everybody on your toes. But the problem with that is, my own personal opinion is, it comes back down to the general knowledge and education for people. Because once you get synchronized and you get a rhythm of going with things you're used to doing, it's almost like, okay, here's something else now. And you know that now you're like, you're thrown off from what you were used to doing, and you're like, oh, now what? And that's the only problem that I see moving forward. It's a good problem. It's not a bad problem, but
May
it's like
I add one more comment?
sure.
I'd like to answer the lady who was asking about recycling plastic bags with Trex. To get a park bench, you have to recycle 500 pounds of plastic bags. And that's difficult to do. We're at the 250-pound stage here in Homedale. With Trex's program, it's if your town or your school is enrolled in the program, the reporting of how many pounds you give is all on the honor system. So if you bundle up 4 pounds and leave it at Kohl's or Whole Foods or someplace, you should tell your Trex coordinator in your town that you delivered 12 pounds, and Trex will keep a record of it.
Yes, I've been reporting my numbers to Janet Burke.
Yes.
So she's getting the counts as we recycle. But my question really was more, can we at a county level encourage people? And I know obviously our green team isn't going to do that. You've done your due diligence in encouraging people in Homedale to recycle this way. Although I see now that it's not on our recycling website, and I thought it was. So it's been removed if it was there.
Well, Trex extended their period of time over which we're to collect these bags. So we can collect them indefinitely for Trex. Just collect them, deposit them, and tell either Janet Burke or Janet Jackal, and we'll get credit for it.
Yes, but if we were not participating in the program, we still could do the recycling and just not report the numbers to anybody, correct?
That's true, yes.
Yeah, and that's what I think it would be great if if every town could just promote that, whether or not they're engaged in the challenge.
That's a good point. Yes, there's nothing stopping you from depositing plastic bags at Kohl's or Whole Foods or
Right.
or whoever.
Plastic bags, bubble wraps, bread bags, cereal inserts, a whole ton of things. And that
That's right.
information is all on the Trex website.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you.
Note, we ran actually quite a bit over. So it was a very interesting discussion, a very informative presentation by you, Jay. We hope to have you back again. I'm sure there
I
are.
will come back anytime. Just yell or have Janet send me an email anytime.
Okay,
You know,
wonderful.
I'm open to coming back for sure.
Okay, and thank you everyone for attending. So have a good night.
Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you.